Now, hi everybody, I'm Shot, also known as the Web3 Plug. Really excited to kick off abstraction hacks, chain abstraction hacks, account abstraction, all that good stuff. And so if you guys don't know, this is a 3-week, 20 days online hackathon where we're testing the limits of not only account abstraction, but chain abstraction. And for those who don't know what chain abstraction is, I did a wonderful workshop with VBI, and also Cameron did a workshop recently, and I think James and Elliot also did a workshop going over Boss front ends as well. But what chain abstraction is the idea of abstracting which blockchain you're interfacing with and building applications that really feel like Web 2, but don't really you don't really know which blockchain that you're using, to put it like in the most simplest terms. In terms of the near implementation of what it's looking like when a FastDOS officially releases, it's actually creating a sub account on an EDSA blockchain and then being able to basically transact on the blockchain with a relayer that pays for gas on behalf of you, where you just pay it near. So it's this kind of meta transaction relayer that serves as uh like a very kind of multi-chain thing where essentially the keys are actually sharded and saved on these kind of NPC relayers as well. So it's the actual implementation isn't there. There's a lot of ideas in terms of what you can implement for chain abstraction. But I'm gonna kind of go over like a high level overview of what the price tracks are, and then kind of toolkits so you can begin building a lot of this stuff. So So we have actually over 15K in prizes as of now. It's pretty exciting. So let me just kind of go over a little bit about the prizes and then go over the toolkits just to make it sweet and simple. So we have 5K in general prizes for account abstraction and chain abstraction. So we have first place for 3K, second and third place for 1K. So essentially top three for anyone who builds anything account abstraction, chain abstraction. Um, and yeah, whoever kind of best leverages Near's account model, and there has to be some element of Near abstraction. You can build Ethereum abstraction that relates to a Near account, but there has to be some element of abstracting on Near. And then you can also incorporate Keepom. We have Keepom bounties. I'll go over to that. Meta transactions, which is another way of implementing kind of account abstraction on Near. And then also there is bounties for Mint Base, and then General Boss, and then also recently one I put out for Potluck, and I'll go over into what that is. So if you guys don't know what Keepom is, I think Min's here from the Keepom team. He'll be supporting here. It's essentially a way for anyone with or without a wallet to essentially claim an account and kind of automate a set of intents or actions on chain. So I can essentially create a bunch of links, and you can claim this, and then you can automatically create a named account. You could register with the DAO. You could create your social profile, literally everything in a non-custodial way. So they have some pretty cool docs. They also have this concept of trial accounts where you can actually have on-chain gift cards and even allocate and program, hey, I only want to use 1 Near on this contract. I only want to use 0.5 Near on this contract. And after using 1.3 Near, for example, then they can export their key. So it's a really kind of frictionless way of like kind of a single sign-on experience that you can really build into a lot of your experiences here. And yeah, their docs are pretty dope. Definitely recommend going on there. They have example of DAO drops, ticketing, and then also some boss implementations. And so there's essentially top two winners will get 1,000 each. So then there's meta transactions. Also, top two winners will get 1,000 each. This is essentially the a lot of people use this in practice. So if you want to see if you guys use the Mint-based wallet, which they're also another sponsor here, they use their own implementation of meta transactions, I have the resources here. By the way, this is abstracting.org/manual. It's on the website. But essentially, what it allows you to do is set up a relayer where you can actually pay for transactions on behalf of users and pay for kind of account creation as well. And you can set up some custom flows and not just subsidize everything. You can essentially take in USDC from a user and pay in near and split the difference. It's if you guys are kind of maybe used to wormhole and traditional relayers, it's a little bit like that. It's a little bit more kind of custodial because you're signing on behalf of users in some instances, but this is also kind of an alternative to keep on in terms of building different applications. And there are some examples that I have in this presentation that I will link. Telegram wallet does this as well, and I think a lot of applications are doing this as well. And so that is 2000, whoever kind of implements their own version of meta transactions. And this can stack nice with Boss as well. And then for going next to Boss, so what Boss is, it's a blockchain operating system. It's essentially kind of the idea of building decentralized front ends, actually storing your React component on chain and then interfacing with multiple chains. So the current implementation of Boss runs on this thing called the Near Social VM, which is essentially like a web engine that allows you to interpret like on-chain code, and it supports a few external dependencies like Near API.js and Ethers.js. So you can kind of see different examples. If I go to alpha.dappdapp.net, essentially this is a version of all the front ends for all the like layer twos, but it's actually stored on chain. But you can interact directly with MetaMask and things like that. So let me go to chains. And so yeah, it provides this experience where like instead of like Dapp Radar, where it's a bunch of dApps linking to external applications, it's more like WeChat, where you have all your super apps built into one experience from different chains. And so it makes it very kind of easy to build these chain abstracted experiences because it's essentially the front end attention layer of all the applications that you need to build. However, what I would like to see in Boss outside of, and I think one of the people, Matt, in the chat, you might have been looking at, he's been kind of integrating Lens and signing and linking near to Ethereum addresses, which is the easiest thing to do. Something that I would kind of recommend for people is actually playing with the VM and then adding external dependencies. And you can do that through your own gateway, through your own web app, which where you could like directly instead of like publishing something in a component, where essentially any gateway, any application that supports this VM can interface with, you can actually build your own gateway and add other external dependencies. So this is an example of near.org and the same component showing there. So you can build your own application that like is within the VM. You can extend the VM, add things like Cosmos support, Solana support, and really get like multi-chain with there. Some of you guys might be interested in actually adding ordinal functionality in Bitcoin. That's something you would have to add additional support there too. But yeah, Boss is an incredible tool for allowing these front end experience because most like meta transactions is really back end setting up a relayer. Same thing with Keepom. But yeah, like combining the two, I think Boss is icing on the cake for a lot of that, and then has a lot of components that are easily uh, built and actually forkable directly, from VS Code or from the web IDE as well. So it makes it pretty rapid to develop if you're a front-end developer, you're not really used to kind of creating smart contracts, doing backends and things of that nature. So we have a 1K bounty for Boss, but it stacks pretty easily and pretty well with existing applications. Then for Mintbase, we have a 1K templates. And the way that this works is that essentially Mintbase is NFT infrastructure on Near. They provide a bunch of out-of-the-box frameworks in order to build very easily. And so they have this thing called Mint-based templates where you can easily one-click deploy. If you guys are familiar with like Vercel, you can one-click deploy and build kind of out of the box NFT applications. They have example of like, let me just go there. They have an example like uh, building like okay, simple near login, an AI chatbot, an AI minter, NFT contract deployer. So they have these pretty robust NFT kind of factory contracts that create their own NFT marketplaces, and you can actually rotate the keys and take self-custody there. So they have all these easy ways to get started and build NFT-based applications in like one click and easy to deploy on Vercel. So what their challenge is they actually have they're giving up to 5 1K templates. And say you're someone who builds 3 quality templates, you could actually win 1K, 1K, and 1K. So this is a pretty this is a if you deploy a quality production grade easy template that utilizes abstraction. And they gave a bunch of idea. And so they not only have then they not only have their mint-based contracts, but they also have free GraphQL where you could use like this is the easiest way to interact with different NFTs, not only just in there, but especially on Boss because they have a lot of available components and they have their own JS SDK, which is kind of a specialized JavaScript SDK where normally we'd be using near API JS, but they built this to make it a little bit easier. And yeah, and so they have a Mint dev Telegram channel. Let me just double link abstraction manual for a second. And yeah, so they also have these ideas, which I'll go into in a second of what they're actually thinking of in this idea section. And this is also available at abstractly.org/ideas. So Jordan and then Luis, the CTO, they'll be on the mid-base dev chat and they'll be providing support for any of these ideas. And they have really good dev tooling and dev support. So I highly recommend you do that. They actually really recently built a mint-based wallet, which uses a proxy contract to actually allow users to sign in with their passkey. It uses the Next.js implementation of meta transactions, which they built, and you're allowed to easily like sign on with your passkey, and then they pay for minting on behalf of your users. So you're just like used to logging in and not worrying about gas or anything like that. So yeah, so these are some ideas: NFT interoperability with EVM chains, Web2 to chain account onboarding, adding spending limits, contract whitelisting, shareable NFT access, dynamic NFT permissions, offline merchant transactions, and encrypted data handoff. And they have some examples there as well. And I know Luis or Microchip GMU has been working on a lot of these solutions as well. So creating out the box one-click deploy templates, pretty dope implementations. And I think there's a lot of crossover, especially with bounty stacking with Keypub and in Boss as well. Well, let me just kind of go back to the final bounty because I kind of just also wrote this because this is something that we're working on at Potluck. If people don't know what Potluck is, it's a public goods funding platform. Just put out 2 bounties, and essentially it is creating profiles for Twitter accounts. There's this so in Keepom or something called Near Names, you could actually create named accounts on behalf of users that they can claim. And so what this challenge is to basically create a named account on behalf of a Twitter profile, import all their information into Near Social and sign them up for the Potluck registry. This is actually something that would be best done with Keepom, and then make a Twitter process where they could actually claim their social profile already filled out. But in the meantime, people can actually donate to this profile already created. So kind of creating that this custom link drop that incorporates the Twitter API to make them, a similar named account to their handle, creating that claim process, and then kind of hitting the social.dir contract and also the Potluck registry. So that's 1,000 for the submission who did that. And then there's kind of an extra 500 that's a little bit easier, where essentially this is more abstracting which token you're using. There's something called Ref Finance. They have something called like an auto router, which allows you, for example, to like automatically swap from one token to another. So if you send me you know, a Nico token or a Black Dragon token or some type of meme token, I can automatically like, you know, get near and then run that through the donation contract. So I will put some more resources here. I just uh put that recently. But yeah, so there's if you do the count, so there's three of the top prizes here, two here for 1K, two here, one here, five here, two here. So three plus two, that's seven, that's eight, that's four. Yeah, it's like 14. And I think Developer DAO has like a thread one for non-technical people as well, from people coming on that camp as well. So there's like 13 kind of prizes, a lot of them 1K top prize. The general prize is 3K, but a lot of opportunities to win for people who submit something quality. Any questions about that? The deadline is the 28th. We'll be releasing more information with where to submit. We might be actually be doing that on chain, because we have a lot of things we're going to be setting up on chain. I think we'll think about near builders about that. But any questions so far about the prize tracks or any of the resources? And yeah, so speaking of resources, if you go to abstracting.org/resources, there will be kind of a bunch of relevant information on like different implementations already in the space, with different NEPs, different people who are working on like connecting each signatures, a little bit about chain abstraction. There's some stuff that we'll be releasing, like interacting with like Aurora contracts via near and things like that, that we don't have out yet. So be on the lookout for that in the Telegram. And then also most of these resources have been posted also on the build out Telegram as well. For people who are just starting, I highly recommend you look into Near's account model. That's a little bit different from Ethereum. I can go into it right now. So for mint base, you can actually win multiple of their templates if you complete your templates answering Jazz's question. Um, I I would say for the ones that are based on completeness, like the potluck one, as long as you kind of whoever does the best solution of that. But in terms of the general prize, I would limit that to one submission per team. And I'll also go a little bit over the eligibility criteria while we're on that topic after here. But I highly recommend for people to go over Nearest account model. I have a little bit in the presentation that we mentioned here, a little bit of an overview of actually, let me change that. About a little bit of overview, kind of going over Ethereum, what it means for account abstraction there, and then how we've had this natively on Near and what is part of the Near's account model of what really makes it easy to do account abstraction. So like I mentioned, we have meta transactions. You could pay for transactions on behalf of users. I would highly look into NEP 366 when this got passed. And then we have some kind of examples later here. We also, some of you are used to signing messages on Ethereum. We have NEP 413 for that. And then we have KeyPalm, we have decentralized front ends, but something that you guys aren't used to is that every contract or every wallet is a smart contract, and you can actually have multiple private keys. And we have something called full access keys and function access keys. Function access keys are like limited kind of gas spending for contracts that you interact with. And then private keys are essentially like full access keys are essentially keys that can delete other keys and essentially do anything. So normally when you Google your private key on Ethereum, you're kind of screwed up, like you screwed up, you done lost your key. On Near, you can actually use a key to remove other keys. So essentially you can create this feeling of rotating keys where I have one key, I make another key, I delete the old key with another key, and then you can have locked accounts if you're building a DeFi application and you want to be like, hey, I have no keys. And every kind of account can actually deploy a WASM file that is smart contract logic. So every account can actually have a smart contract on it. And then we have this idea of named accounts built in where I can be shot.near And I can also deploy a sub account, much like a subdomain, where you know it came from the original kind of shot.near, like nft.shot.near. I can deploy a contract on it. I can rotate the keys and give it to someone else where I don't have custodies. They can, take out the keys and just be like, this is a locked contract. Or they can deploy another sub account there too. So we have this really kind of named account, kind of sub account convention that makes it really similar to the internet, where people aren't used to. So a lot of us know the contracts that we interact with by name. A lot of us are very used to changing our keys and rotating keys. And this is why, if you look on Near, the top two dApps on dApp Radar are actually Near-based applications that came from Web 2, because you're essentially easily able to create a bunch of accounts on behalf of users, and then they can actually claim this with the same account and then change their keys, which other applications aren't used to or other blockchains aren't used to, because you have to essentially transfer all the assets and like if you don't have your key, it's not your crypto. But in this case, they have this idea of progressive custody, which allows kind of account abstraction and also chain abstraction to work very well. And so there's a lot to essentially experiment with. Any questions with that and here and the documentation? If you click on any of these pictures, it'll open into a new tab or in the footnotes to the respective documentation. But any questions about this or Near's account model? I'm going over it a little bit fast, and they have a bunch of dope videos from Mike and some other people. But yeah, and also there's two main Telegram chats that we had on the registration. There's the Key Palm Builder group, which is really nitty-gritty into Key Palm, how to set up these custom link drops in a very permissionless way. A lot of you guys will actually be leveraging Key Palm because it's super powerful and there's a lot of use cases and ideas that are Key Palm related. So I'd heavily check that out. Min will be on that Telegram channel, and there's build out for general abstraction, and all of the devs will also be on there, and any support. But kind of uh yeah, so here's just some resources going kind of over everything. Uh but any questions so far? All right,
Yeah, I got one question.
ask away, ask away.
Where can I find more info about NEP 413?
Let me see. So this actual so this everything I have is on a short link. I'm a short link guy. But so over here, that's this presentation I gave to like Vietnam last week, and every single thing here, like you click on it and it will go to there. So I have NEP 413 slide on here. There's also a wallet builder group where different wallets are like actually all the wallets who are like wallets on Near are in that, and also Pagoda, who works on like their SQA team, who works on just all the core implementation and everything to do with the wallet. So this is here. They also have a video here where they explain the passing of the NEP. NEP is like our EIP. This is Near Enhancement Proposals. It's how different core engineers and community developers pass this as well. But they gave a pretty streamlined explanation about it. Essentially, it lets you authenticate users without having to add a new access key. And yeah, without like actually transacting on chain. So it's pretty like it's the thing to authenticate accounts without requiring gas. And then so the standard is here. You click on here. The video explanation is here. And this is just a screenshot from that video. All right, what's Igor saying?
Thank you. Well, I see there are some people that have questions in the chat, but
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
thinking of a treasury or an account storing money dedicated to marketing. Let's say I can have a mini DAO contract and only when 51% of okay, so there's a couple of ways you could go about this. there is a spot. So to our main DAO contracts, and this is in the I need to actually clean this up a little bit. But there is basically Sputnik DAO is I will send the multi. I didn't put the multi-sig in here actually. But they're kind of there's like a multi-sig implementation. And there's a deploy a multi-sig here. Pierre, he's from the Near Foundation. He built this, and there's After DAO, which is essentially well Sputnik DAO, which is Sputnik-DAO.near is the factory contracts that deploy most of the DAOs in the ecosystem that we're used to. And they have different front ends, Astro DAO, which is their legacy, and Astro Plus Plus, which is a boss-enabled front end that integrates social and kind of NDC, which is like the DAO of DAOs, into like uh building on top of this. So what I would do in terms of like a treasury for an account store minute. So you can essentially set different accounts. You can like add accounts to roles that have either permissions to vote on something or propose something. And you can kind of have granular permissions for each one. You can say, hey, I want to make sure that the council or the our members can only propose to vote function call proposals. So you can essentially kind of set quorums and thresholds or like minimum amount for someone to vote and the percentage of seats that need to approve as part of this in your DAO. Yeah, how do you guarantee the stake? So one thing you can guarantee when say you fork the Sputnik DAO contracts that you won't update it is like I was mentioning with your keys, that's kind of the idea of the locked account. So you can essentially deploy a DAO contract like that is using the Sputnik DAO or that's using a multi-safe or a regular multi-sig contract, and then you can essentially delete all the full access keys which like on the block explorer you could actually see which key like which accounts are locked or not based on the number of keys they have, which is 0. So a key can delete itself. It's pretty meta in that way. And in this presentation, the go-to block explorer right now is near blocks. Where did I put that? So like this idea of the locked accounts, I would put this right here. And yeah, so that's the idea of the locked accounts if you remove all the keys here. And then there's, I had like a screenshot on here somewhere. Yeah, so you can check your access keys and you can see here on near blocks, which is a pretty splendid little tool. So near blocks is the go-to block explorers. The let's go to Sputnik DAO. So near blocks is pretty cool. They use something called actually, is that here still? Okay, they use something called rain.dev, which is a tool that I would check out that actually allows you to interact with the contract methods and see kind of the arguments here. And you can actually connect your wallet and interact with different accounts. And this is a smart contract. And you can go, they have an access key tab where it's not working. I feel like this is bugging right now, to be honest, because is this locked? So wallet.near, I mean not I mean explorer.near.org. All right, so this should be showing access keys. The contract is not locked. I don't know why it's not showing. Maybe having indexer issues as of right now. But if if like the contract has no full access keys on it, it would say contract lock equals yes. So that's kind of how we know if there's a backdoor. Most people actually have like unlocked contracts. Only like few DeFi applications have it completely locked. But this yeah, but you can do that. And yeah, if you're looking for that trust element, I would definitely do this, but you wouldn't be able to upgrade. You would need to redeploy. Um Yeah. So like the 4337, like what's going on in Ethereum, we've had that since day one. So it's pretty cool. You can also do spending limits. Uh Keypalm, they have a pretty cool implementation for this. Let me go to docs.keypalm.xyz. Yeah, so Keypalm has a pretty cool implementation of what a subscription would be. So kind of like spending limits on here. That was actually their first example. Let me look for that. But Benji from Min from Keypalm, who was just here. They had like that was the first example for like subscription-based ticketing and also spending limits. If you're looking for payment streams or anything like that, there's another open source. Oh no, it's not here. Let me think. There's something called Roketo. I bet found it. Yeah, so Raketo is a like streaming payment service. So this is another thing where you can actually set up payment streams and yeah, like continuous payment streams. So this is another way you can, if you're looking to kind of do the payment side of things, I would look into this. And they also have some vesting schedule stuff, but I'll send that over later if you're specifically thinking about payments. But there is a bunch of stuff that actually doesn't. I'm gonna go into some like actual like case studies real here that I did to give you inspiration of what's going on because we've had this since day one. But one of the reasons why we're doing this hackathon is I feel like a lot of people haven't leveraged it. Recently, a lot of people have been like leveraging it, but outside of like link drops and stuff like that, I don't think a lot of people have been uh like registering it. If you guys are interested in chain abstraction, there's some kind of thought pieces on there. Oh yeah. No, actually, Pagoda sent me an implementation of this. I'll drop that a very early implementation of this. I'm gonna drop that in the abstraction section of the build out Telegram. Yeah. So all right, I found something. If you want to see vested and scheduled release, I found something the other day. Had to scrape every repo for this developer report, and I was like, I think I put it on here. All right, let me check this guy's GitHub. So this is like where I set the near foundation. I was just lurking on people's GitHub and I saw he did something where so he made a deploy multi-sig, but then he also made a near finance. And this is like this has some social odd stuff on it, but this is like a dashboard. I don't know. He might have been making it for near foundation for like vesting. But I would check this out. I haven't tested it out too much, but there's a bunch of vesting. I'll get that too. I think also proximity has something in their repo, but they have like a near DeFi repo. Let me look that up. Near DeFi, and this is also a good place to find your anything DeFi. So they have an FT lockup contract. So this is like vesting for fungible token. I'm not sure if it's audited though. That's someone was asking Evgeny about it, but that is for fungible token vesting. I think the near finance is only for near but yeah, these are commonly like lockup contracts. But kind of going over a little bit about like the kind of some case studies and stuff like that. Uh yeah, so the main ones that I like to look at, but they're like just to give an idea of what's going on is that, well, I mentioned Keep Palm trial accounts. They're like on-chain gift card. There was a really cool project by Wormhole 3. They built a lot of DAO tooling and applications, but they had something called like wormhole binding, which actually allows you and for those who are building the potluck or any kind of like Twitter API integration, so they built a contract that lets you link your Twitter into your near social, and it actually delegates posting access to their contract. So essentially, every time on Twitter when you post with the hashtag boss, they use meta transactions to take that post and then post on social.near. I'm gonna give a little bit. I might as well give an overview on social.near because it's a pretty powerful contract. So and a lot of you guys are gonna leverage this, especially if you're on the boss track. So github.com/near social. So yeah, so what if you guys know about Boss, the blockchain operating system, all these type of different gateways, storing your code on chain. What you're doing is you're storing your code on your social graph under the widget section. So it's not even just this idea of like this is just a code base. This is actually a data tree where you can save any piece of information on this. And so outside of widgets that you own, you also have your profile information. So like your link tree, your bio, all that good stuff, your followers and who you follow, which if you guys are used to like Lens or Farcaster, it doesn't really work as streamlined as that because like we have like native accounts and then we have essentially these routes under it. Like we have social.near/widget and then we can put code on it. We have like our profile information. We can easily put any type of data we want on our social graph and then actually build code on top of that and build these very composable experiences on there. So we can put post, we can make custom post types, we can put custom embed types, we can make a widget that encapsulates all that and interacts with different chains. So it's far different and more composable than Lens or anything like that. And we can also build Lens inside of our social graph as well. But the contract for this is so there's a VM. I was mentioning kind of adjusting the VM to add external dependencies. There is a video on how to do that with Elliot. He's also one of the people that will be supporting on the DevRel side of things. If you go to this with the build out, that's kind of in this video he showed how to add LivePierre for video streaming inside of a boss gateway. But in terms of like the social, actually it's better if I show you here. So this is the VM repo. Let me show near social. So here like all these posts, all of that, like this is essentially on every part of the data tree except the settings section on the social.near contract. You can essentially delegate access for another account to post on your behalf. So in the wormhole example, they basically allowed their contract to post on your behalf. And so if you're doing a lot of abstraction related things, yeah, I think the social.near contract is the best playing around to do that. And just to give an example of that, like this is an example of like a post, but the actual um, content here is all a component saved under mob.near, which is the name of the account, under the widget graph, under homepage. But they have a dependency where they reference the widget.ed, which is another component. So you can essentially reference people's different components and build these composable experiences. If I view source again, you can actually see the source code, and this is stored directly on chain. So you might have been hearing about Near being a data availability layer, different rollups posting their kind of blobs on Near as a cheaper alternative to things like Celestia and Ethereum. But like we store any type of data, including this raw source code, and we kind of have this decentralized GitHub. But all of this is literally stored on the social.near contract, which is the same information where if I go here to my profile and I view source, you can see that and this is a widget made by him, but this is pulling and this is one of the things in the Near Social VM. They have a social API, which is just an API that wraps around the social.near contract. Um, I wouldn't say no, Nearboss is not being phased out. Uh they're not, it's not. This is something a lot of us are building applications on and there are people like if you look at Potluck, like we're building our front ends on here, DapDap, they're building multi-chain front ends. So I it's not that Boss is being phased out, it's that being that like we are basically introducing a bunch of different parts of the stack like chain abstraction, like data availability into the forefront of the narrative where this is what we were really pushing. And I think the narrative is going to continue because just like I was showing you before, like this is accessible to every gateway. And we have like 40, 50 gateways that are being deployed, and you can also run this locally. And this is being distributed as well locally through machines like in Urbit, for example. So I would say as you see more censorship, especially in the DeFi space, the boss narrative will increase. But nah, like no one's stopped building here. So I wouldn't say it's phased out. No, like to be honest, and I know a lot of people who just got onboarded to actually add additional chains to this outside of Ethereum. So yeah, no, this is definitely a development tool. But yeah, that I just wanted to go over like the social.near type of stuff, because I was going over wormhole briefly. There's also some other case studies too, like Here Wallet. Here Wallet's okay. So Here Wallet and Meter Wallet, I would say they're the two most native wallets. Actually, wallet.near.org, if you guys are used to it, it got deprecated today. So there's My Near Wallet, which is a fork by that, also maintained by the Meter Wallet team. And there's but Here Wallet and Meter Wallet are my favorite wallets that have the most near native features, and they have some case studies for that. So here Wallet, they actually have meta transactions built in, and for especially on Aurora too. And then you can actually you use your private key to make an Aurora account. And if people who don't know what Aurora is essentially like our EVM. It's like our near EVM, where the whole EVM logic is built as a smart contract on a near blockchain. So pretty dope. There's a way to actually call contracts from near and Aurora and back and forth streamlined without any kind of bridging per se. But I will have, I think probably someone from like the DeFi space because they're used to working more with that. But here, Wallet, they built meta transactions for people with a certain amount of points will they pay for your transactions. And they'll also have this for near social. So they have a very Web 2 feature in their application where and I have slides for this. They had like a very like Web 2 application where you would friend people, and they made it so when you friend someone and they friend you back, it follows them on social.near and they pay for those transactions as well. So and it's a pretty kind of quick and account abstraction feature that you can build into your application. Something I like about Meteor Wallet is I don't even have it. So what Meteor Wallet does is they're the best example of rotating keys. So if you go into the settings of your Meteor Wallet, you can actually see all the limited access keys and the full access keys and like revoke and deauthorize that. So Meteor Wallet's the most common wallet for rotating your keys, or if you actually give your key to the wrong person. We traditionally use Meteor Wallet to rotate that out outside of the CLI. Um, and even for yeah, and even for like sub accounts. Like this is something one of the ideas that we have. Like you can deploy a sub account, but right now we're doing it through the CLI. So there's no kind of easy way like right now to deploy like if I'm shot.near nft.shot.near or app.shot.near or boss.shot. There's like no way to do that in a streamlined way. So that'd be a huge kind of low-hanging fruit for anyone who wants to build that for the ecosystem and then have it be able to rotate keys as well. One of the best kind of case studies I see is also name sky. So this is essentially like our ENS domain. Since we have ENS built in, what they do is they actually allow a marketplace where you can sell your whole near account because your named account isn't like something that's over there and linked to your account or something that you read like in Bonafide on Sol or ENS. It is part of your account. And so what Namesky allows you to do is turn that to an NFT and sell it. So they're a pretty cool use case that popped up in the past year as well. Also, like a Telegram, there's actually Dragon bots coming out next week, which is a trading bot and a wallet built into Telegram. I also saw another Telegram wallet, and then Sender built a Telegram wallet as well. So there's a lot of Telegram enabled wallets coming up as well. I'm just gonna Yeah, is there any other questions? Or I kind of went all over the place with a bunch of different resources, but I will be posting this in the build out Telegram. All right, so there's some judges from the Mint-based space, there's some judges from the near China space, me, the Here wallet, and some other wallets they'll be judging. One of the things that we're looking at is your code complexity and your cleanliness. How likely are communities able to fork and how complete your application is. And also what we care about is you continuing in the project, not just a one-off hackathon project. If we see this is something that you will continue to build and you can actually turn this to a protocol or an application, that to us is actually something that we're evaluating off outside of one-off hackathon projects. This is a longer 20-day experience. We want people to continue the ecosystem. We'll have continue to have hackathons. We have hackathons happening year round. We actually have another near hackathon happening right now with Hacker Earth as well in tangent with this. So we have plenty of hackathon opportunities. So we want you to continue. We have Near Horizon, we have DevHub, we have BuildDAO, we have Onboard DAO, all with funding opportunities as well. So we want to have you continue building, having something that's useful in the ecosystem, and then explore more funding opportunities and getting you involved more in the ecosystem. So yeah, please think of something that you want to continue to build is what I'm getting out of that point. Also, like the novelty of the idea, how original it is, or how kind of effectively you built one of the ideas we suggested, and then also the UX because we are an abstraction hackathon, and then how well you use abstraction or what is kind of the primitives in the toolbox that I mentioned. Is there yeah, is there any questions about that or yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm guessing some projects with longer time frame in mind will be introduced in New Horizon. Yeah, so like near Horizon cohort, I think it's one of the last weeks to apply. But yeah, they're another pipeline. There's a bunch of pipelines in the ecosystem. So for people who are going the traditional accelerator route, for people who are going open source, there's DevHub, BuildDAO's been supporting projects. Like I was saying, Onboard DAO will be posting up their mini grant applications. There's a bunch of kind of DAO verticals popping up as well through the NDC. And yeah, also building out Potluck for funding public goods. We'll be running some open source builder rounds as well through quadratic funding pretty soon as well. So there's a bunch of different ways to get involved in the ecosystem. But yeah, just hit us up. We all we all are near people. We all are affiliated with each other. So yeah, just definitely whatever support you need in the ecosystem after the hackathon or even during the hackathon, we're here to find the best fit. So yeah, I was showing you ideas. I'm gonna put in more ideas. I feel like I didn't put enough ideas this past weekend, so I'm gonna put more ideas. But here are some initial ideas. One thing I really want to see is so I'm thinking like I want to see Bitcoin. I want to see so there's with chain abstraction, there is like a couple of things that are very complex, like kind of setting up multi-chain meta transaction relayers where you're paying for near on one the other, and then you're paying in Bitcoin or whatever native gas for the EDSA blockchain that you're interacting with. What I want to see is kind of like that would be really cool if I had like a dumbed down implementation of being able to transfer, like how we're transferring accounts on NamesGuy, Bitcoin whole accounts that have ordinals in it. So rather than transacting or making a new inscription on the Bitcoin blockchain to transfer that to another Bitcoin wallet or an inscription to another Bitcoin wallet or a BRC20 token to another Bitcoin wallet, I think the easiest thing to build Bitcoin on Near is to build a contract that basically sells the whole wallet um, to another wallet on Near. So you're kind of using Near as a smart contract layer to transfer the whole wallet as of using Bitcoin to transfer the individual custody using Bitcoin's gas is something I think is achievable within the time frame of this blockchain. Like I was mentioning, I really want to see sub account generators and deployers. One one thing that I really when I'm for example, we have these factory contracts, like Sputnik DAO. So you deploy a build out at Sputnik DAO on there. You deploy an onboard DAOs, buttoning data on here. I would love for an ability to basically have these factory contracts, but deploy it under my own namespace. So I can just have build out on here, but it's based on a factory contract. That would be pretty awesome. I want to see trial account generators. I mentioned trial accounts on Keepom, but we don't have an ability to easily say, hey, I want to create an account with one near that can only interact with these contracts that can has to export the key after this time. We don't have a UI for that. That's all based on Keepom's JS SDK, and also you can use near API JS raw. So these are some just like stuff on here. There's also a bunch of different ideas on here. But I wanted to get a more sense of what you guys wanted to build. But yeah, let me go here. I also want to see more NPC-based solution. We don't have a streamlined social auth solution. So some of you guys are asking for the fast auth SDK. I'm not sure if like I don't know who's gotten off the whitelist for that, to be honest. But they do have their NPC implementation. I'll link to here. If people don't know what NPC is, multi-party computation. It allows you to like split a key into different shards and like kind of you need like 2 out of 3, for example, to actually sign the key. So your local host might have something, your email might have something. Like so like you kind of need to you basically split up a key and it allows for things like social auth and stuff like that. And you have a lot of wallet service providers like Web3 Auth who provide this. But I have an example of the implementation they use for fast auth we have in here. So that's the MPC recovery solution. Where's meeting group chat? That's I want to see more like social auth sign-ons. I want to see sign in with Twitter. I want to see sign in with email. I want to see sign in with Telegram, and things of that nature. I'm really leveraging this MPC based solution. And then outside of just MPC, because we have this idea of progressive custody, I want to see users first come onto a Web2 solution and then take full custody of their assets by rotating the keys and even deleting just the NPC sharded key. So I want to see that kind of non like progressive custody Web2 onboarding, leveraging NPC really badly in the ecosystem and into a service or at least demoed in an application to onboard more users. Another thing I want to see is, I mean, this is also part of the potluck profile, but I want to see the auto creation of profiles. I think I also want to see on-chain referrals. And this is something that can be readily available with Keepom or really your own smart contract. But I really want to see the ability to incentivize and give people points based on who onboarded who. And yeah, I also, if people are more on like the traditional data analytics side, I really want to see a map of this progressive onboarding. So we have like near Atlas, which is a boss gateway that's like what we use in the ecosystem to understand account retention, and it's a pretty cool tool. But a lot of times when we see these active accounts, we don't necessarily know whether they're a sweat coin or they're a kaching, and they have their accounts with their where they've retained full custody. So a kind of Web 2.5 account. So it's hard for us to understand how native in the Web3 journey accounts are. So even having some analytics on that would be very insightful because, like I was showing you from the Block Explorer, we can tell every time a new key is added and new key is removed, whether account is locked, even which limited access keys or which contracts they're interacting with too. So I think more visualizations around like the life cycle and of how progressive custody impacts the applications that people use and their overall retention would be very insightful for those who do that. But on the data side, so I would recommend, I mean, PikeSpeak has an API. Also, Flipside Crypto has a pretty good streamlined dashboards as well and a free to use forever API. So they have like if you go to docs.flip, if you go to flipside, I think that XYZ, they have a bunch of also analytics on near social and pretty easy to run queries on their web IDE, but I'll post that as well for the data analysis analysis. One thing that as an ecosystem, you might have seen the meme tokens rising. One thing that we would like to see is a way to manage spam. Um, and then also map addresses. So like I was saying, the like mapping your Solana address to Ethereum to near and kind of aggregating accounts that way. And this may be in the form of a smart contract and kind of various assigned messages. Um, Subscription models, uh, the relayer is a classic example of like you someone only sends USDC and you'll have near pay a relayer to actually send that out. I want to see more things with IDOS, which is an SDK that serves as a multi-chain identity layer. And they have some, I think they have some documentations now. So you go to idos.network. This is them. But this is also something I want to see put in practice. I haven't seen too many people implemented it since a couple months ago when they announced that NearCon. Go more into this. I want to see a kind of a wallet interface on Boss. That'd be really cool if we're able to build that. And then yeah, I think those are most the ideas that I had that were practical. Does anyone have any ideas or looking for a team or anything of that nature or anybody? Well, if you guys need any support, James, when are the office hours in relation to like now? Like what's the vibe on that? Like for reference, like how many hours before after present day?
2 hours before this time right now, which is actually going to be the time we do it on Thursdays after the workshops at the same time, uh, noon Eastern. It's 17 UTC, aka 5 p.m. UTC.
All right, dope. Went way longer than expected for this, but yeah, hopefully you guys got some ideas, got some places to start, some resources, drop the bounties and whatnot. I would love to hear what you guys build, share on the Build Out Telegram. We're here to support and provide any resources. Again, like you're saying, like there's a lot of stuff out the box that you could build with, and I will be dropping in a bunch of resources throughout the week that are going to be coming hot off the presses. So be looking out for the chain abstraction stuff from Pagoda, some Aurora Near stuff coming up as well. Join the Mint Base Telegram, join the Keep Home Telegram, keep in the loop in the Build Out Telegram. And yeah, happy hacking, everybody. I'll see y'all in the Build Out office hours, 12 p.m. Eastern. You heard it from James. Yeah, peace.